നിയമസഭയിൽ ഗവർണറുടെ നയപ്രഖ്യാപന പ്രസംഗം തുടങ്ങി. തത്സമയ സംരക്ഷണത്തിലേക്ക്.
Session of the 14th Kerala Legislative Assembly. Let me convey my hearty congratulations and warm greetings to all of you. My government has been voted to power by the people of Kerala with great expectations and high hopes. People have reacted against corruption, favoritism, and nepotism. The verdict reflects the strong displeasure of the voters against anti-people policies, atrocities on women, and weakening of secularism. Agricultural growth has declined. Public sector units have once again slipped into losses. Traditional industries have collapsed. Education has been commercialized. The public health system has been weakened. People have bestowed their hopes on the left Democratic Front government to radically alter this scenario. I am extremely happy to present before you the policy approaches which would enable government to rise to the expectations of the people. Globalization is creating frightening inequalities and environmental deterioration. There is strong feeling that there is no alternative to the new world order. The global economic stagnation and the crisis of climate change call for fundamental shift from the existing situation. In this context, my government, within the limits imposed by the federal framework, would strive to create a people's alternative. India cannot escape the global crisis, but Government of India is trying to further strengthen neoliberal policies to get out of the crisis. Further, there are constant attempts to weaken India's secular fabric. The cultural ethos of resurgent Kerala would be built on secularism. Kerala's secularism has been reinforced by the movements of workers and peasants and the national movement, which drew inspiration from the earlier reform movements. My government would give utmost importance to protect this legacy and combat all efforts to undermine it. Development strikes root only in a land of peace. Therefore, my government is strongly committed to ensuring law and order. We need few and transformed Kerala. We need to rise to the hopes of our youth who hold the future of Kerala in their hands. We should be able to provide them with employment opportunities to suit their aspiration. We need to accelerate industrial growth alongside modern agriculture. At the same time, we need to provide complete social security cover for the workers in the traditional industries in the state and for the poor and the marginalized. We need to strengthen our public delivery system in education, health, and upgrade the standards of service delivery. In short, the mandate given by the people of Kerala to my government is to bring about corruption-free governance that can usher in a new era of development in this state. Let me take this opportunity to affirm that my government will pursue a proactive policy of zero tolerance to corruption that will be visible and felt. To achieve this objective, a bucket of specific measures to control corruption will be adopted and shall include providing for mandatory disclosures in all departments, extending e-tender for wider range of public works, putting in place a credible quality assurance system for public works on the lines of Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, consolidating and strengthening of e-procurement of goods, putting in place clear, transparent, and well-defined norms for transfers in government, making social audit mandatory for all local governments and key public works, facilitating social watch through a transparent geographic information system which will enable any citizen to see all public works at different stages with relevant details. My government is firmly committed to include women in development and put an end to atrocities against them and ensure gender equality. It is necessary to transform Kerala into a totally gender-friendly state. My government is happy to announce that a new department for women and child development would be created. Kerala has succeeded to a significant extent in improving the lot of ordinary people. Yet it has not been possible to ensure the inclusion of all sections of society into the mainstream. Improving the livelihoods of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, the fisher folk, other marginalized sections would be a policy priority of my government. The pockets of poverty that will exist in Kerala need to be wiped out. My government understands that development implies a deep, scientific and balanced relationship between man and nature. It is the policy of my government to ensure that development is eco-friendly. It is the perspective of my government to take people into confidence and make them an integral part of protecting and nurturing the environment. My government believes that good governance calls for people's participation in all aspects of government, ranging all the way from policy formulation to evaluation of outcomes. Mine will be an open government with wide interface with the citizen, providing opportunities for consultations, suggestion, giving and feedback both electronically and through direct interaction, informal fora. The topmost priority of my government shall be redressing the grievances of most vulnerable and most marginalized citizens. This government will adopt a proactive approach conforming to the ideals of opening the door on hearing the footsteps. Effective mass contact programs will be regularly organized at the district and sub-districts level as recommended by the Third Administrative Reforms Committee headed by late E.K. Nayanar. Modern technology will be harnessed to strengthen redressal of grievances, which would enable any citizen to track the progress of redressal of his or her grievance. The Kerala State Right to Service Act 2012 will be further strengthened to bring in features like citizens' charter and scope for interactions with citizens. My government is committed to setting up Kerala Administrative Service, including the Secretariat, with the multiple objective of attracting talented youngsters to public service, improving its efficiency and breaking down departmental silos. My government will formulate new training policy for enhancing the efficiency and professionalism of our employees. This will clearly stipulate mandatory induction training for all government employees as well as systematic in-services courses. The Director General of Institute of Management in Government will be designated as Director General of Training to facilitate the coordination of different training institutions under government to achieve synergy. To finance this ambitious goal, appropriate budgetary mechanisms will be designed to allow departments to use at least 1% of their annual planned budget for training. Development perspective. Kerala is today facing very vexing development stalemate. On the one hand, the crisis in the commercial crop sector, coupled with the effect of recession triggered by the oil price slump in Middle East, poses a serious threat to our economy. On the other hand, the unpardonable decimation and undermining of the revenue collection machinery of the state by the previous government for corrupt, parochial and partisan ends has put resource mobilization at grave risk. We are deeply challenged by the question as to how we can move the state forward from out of this mess. Needless to say, my government will certainly find creative and practical solution to these problems. My government has set for itself certain very specific developmental goals. These will be from the foundation of the development strategy of my government in the next 5 years. Our aim will be to create 10 lakh jobs in the areas of information technology, biotechnology, tourism, electronics, and other emerging areas. We hope to add another 15 lakh jobs in the areas of agriculture, construction, commerce, and small industries. Another 10 lakhs youth will be provided skill training. We will provide financial, infrastructure, and technology assistance to 1,500 startups. My government will double the space available in IT parks. We will draw up plans to attract twice the number of tourists in the state. My government intends to complete the gas pipeline project and invest heavily into electronics hardware parks. Mega infrastructure projects will be completed in time and new ones will be taken up. Trivandrum and Kozhikode airports and such other infrastructure projects on which broad political consensus has already been reached shall be taken up and completed in a time-bound manner. Land acquisition has been a serious constraint in completing major projects, particularly roads of the prescribed specifications of width. My government will expedite land acquisition for projects compensating landowners fairly and rehabilitating those who depend on the land to be acquired for their livelihood. The public health system will be strengthened and upgraded radically. The school education system will be revamped to international standards. Universities will be developed to flourish as centers of excellence. Through the next phase of People's Campaign, local self-government will be made active partners in all spheres to achieve the development goals that this government has set for itself. Kerala will be made a hunger-free state. Social security pensions will be delivered at the doorsteps of all the pensioners. In order to mainstream gender in development, my government will introduce gender budgeting during current year itself, followed by gender auditing as the next step. My government will encourage a rapid infusion of private investment into the state and shall provide congenial environment for this. We will no doubt attract private investment, but that shall be without neglecting rights of our workers and without breaching our environmental laws. The main attraction for private investors to Kerala, apart from its unique natural endowments and educated labor force, will be a modern infrastructure that my government shall build on a war footing in the state. Modernized road system, rapid railway lines, efficient inland navigation, vibrant air and seaports, industrial parks, assured supply of quality power shall be created through leveraging adequate funds outside the budget. The reorientation of the economy with focus on the emerging new growth sectors and infrastructure will be accompanied by a well thought out strategy to provide total security to the poor, protect their livelihood in the traditional sectors, strengthen the public health and education system, and ensure environmental balance and gender equity. This approach would necessitate a higher role for the government in planning and development. The success of such interventions would depend upon generation of adequate financial resources to improve the efficiency of the government. This is in a nutshell shall be the agenda of my government for the creation of New Kerala. The challenges are many, but with the support of the people of Kerala, my government will surely deliver on these promises. Next, planning. My government believes that the decision of the union government to dispense with the 5-year plan was actually short-sighted. Currently, the states and the center too are groping in the dark on national priorities. In the absence of well-orchestrated plan built around national policies, the developmental directions of the union government seem rather hazy and rudderless. My government will continue with the 5-year planning. The preparatory work on the drawing up the 13th 5-year plan will begin shortly. My government intends to make planning more professional and scientific. The State Academy on Statistical Administration will function as a center of excellence for training and research studies of official statistics as per with the standards set by national and international institutes of similar nature. Block level reports on natural resources will be prepared and used for effective local level planning. The geoinformatics laboratory will be strengthened as a state level digital data repository for land and water resource management for ensuring better regional and subtial planning. Next, financial management. The state is facing acute financial crisis. My government is today facing unenviable task of steering the state out of this. For the last 3 years, that is 2013 to 16, the implementation of the annual plan approved by the people of Kerala through Legislative Assembly has virtually stagnated. Against the large number of schemes announced in the annual plan budgets of 3 years, actual expenditure has been only 60 to 70% of the budget approved by the legislature. This in particular has had a negative impact on public investments in Kerala and has adversely hit poorer sections of the society the most. The flow of funds to beneficiaries and workers in the kaya, fisheries and other traditional sectors have suffered the most in the aftermath of the crisis. This has also severely embedded the overall economic growth, income and employment generation of the state. The entire borrowing ceiling now permitted by the central government is just sufficient to meet the day-to-day expenditure of the state government. Consequently, my government is faced with the stark reality that there are no funds left for capital expenditure like construction of roads, bridges and other major infrastructure projects. The options before my government are severely limited. By eliminating corruption and mismanagement, the main reasons behind the decline in revenue receipts sincere and vigorous efforts will be mounted to increase revenue. Borrowing is another alternative, but this has to be contained within the limits allowed by Government of India, which has expressed its unwillingness to enhance the borrowing ceiling beyond what has already been allowed for the state government. The third option is to impose treasury restrictions as was done during the last year. But this would entail drastically cutting down or deferring essential expenditure, and this would first and foremost seriously affect the poor and workers in agricultural and traditional sectors, an option that my government will never adopt. Therefore, my government will focus on multi-pronged strategy. Firstly, of stepping up revenue mobilization. Secondly, eliminating wasteful expenditure while ensuring essential expenditure of the poor and traditional sectors. Thirdly, of leveraging provisions earmarked in the budget for capital expenditure for mobilizing funds from market. A creative development strategy will have to be formulated to accelerate growth by increasing public investments in mega projects through off-budget borrowings and using special purpose vehicles. My government has a clear vision for developing infrastructure in the state. It is committed to ensure that Kerala's infrastructure, whether it be in roads, bridges, inland waterways, airports, rails, or ITs, is the best in the country. Our people should enjoy the use of infrastructure with the same standards available in developed countries across the world. The goal of my government will be to propel the state to be in the forefront in terms of economic development and competitiveness. Conservative estimates indicate that Kerala needs an infusion of 50,000 to 1 lakh crore funds for the infrastructure, both in the public and private sector, if we are to reach this goal. This means that Kerala will have to mobilize 10 to 15% of its current GDP during the next 5 years for infrastructure. The task is by no means easy. My government will resort to novel means of raising finance to achieve this formidable goal. Infrastructure projects are long-term and political risks loom large for investors. Investors will be prepared to commit substantial sums for long periods only if they faith in the legal and political procedure. For this, my government intends to bring in the necessary legislative framework in the next session of this assembly. To mobilize borrowings from abroad, 2 of our financial institutions will be restructured as non-banking financial companies and aligned in compliance with the Securities and Exchange Board of India, SEBI, and Reserve Bank of India, RBI regulations. My government will launch a new financial management system that will integrate the financial, payroll, pension, and personal databases of treasuries and finance departments linked to the related IT systems in the Office of Accountant General to become the first state to develop such a comprehensive information system. The treasury network will be developed to have its own core banking system in the next 6 months. Liquidity management will be developed to a high degree of sophistication with intelligent forecasting tools built in. These tools no doubt will come to our aid in extricating the state out of terrible financial mess that it is in now. Let me now outline the policy of directions that my government intends to take in various sectors. In doing so, I shall make a departure from conventional practice and focus more on the policy initiatives themselves and less on enumerating specific schemes in various departments. Information technology. E-governance and information and communications technology will no doubt serve as the foundation for the growth of our economy in the years ahead. My government has set for itself the vision and will go ahead with a determination to use these technologies to improve governance, service delivery mechanism, and e-literacy. My government shall focus on encouraging investment in IT sector, making it a preferred destination for investors from India and abroad. This can be achieved only through assured ease of doing business. My government believes in adopting a professional approach for facilitating investment and creating an investment climate and ecosystem, moving away from the era of offering subsidies. A comprehensive IT policy will be brought out in consultation with all stakeholders in the next 2 months. Emphasis shall be given to increase the employability of our youth in tune with the changing demands of the IT industry. My government will launch several new initiatives and complete ongoing ones to propel our state into the forefront in the IT sector in India. The first phase of Cyber Park, Kozhikode, will be completed in this financial year. Allotment of space in new buildings sprawling over 2.88 lakh square feet will commence. The ambitious Techno-City project in Thiruvananthapuram would be completed on priority. Existing and new schemes for encouragement of startups in accordance with the Kerala Technology Startup Policy will be continued. Construction activities under the second phase of Technology Innovation Zone for about 105 crores will be taken up and expedited. The third phase of the project will also be initiated during this financial year and facilities made available to the beneficiaries in 2018. A new scheme for supporting 1,000 selected innovative ideas in the technology sector with an assistance of rupees 2 lakh for each will be launched. Open innovation spaces will be set up at various places of the state to meet and exchange innovative ideas and for discussion of concern among the public. A virtual platform will be set up as Science and Technology Innovation and Commercialization Kerala for facilitating interaction of R&D institutions, scientists, students, entrepreneurs, etc. And a physical lab will be set up at Technology Innovation Zone, Kalamassery, for testing and refining the ideas developed through the platform. Full-fledged residential camps of Indian Institute of Information Technology and Management, Kerala, Thiruvananthapuram will be ready by 31st March 2017. International Center for Free and Open Source Software will be developed into an academic organization with focus on the developmental needs of Kerala society, taking advantage of global network of free and open source software and free knowledge initiatives. The state data center infrastructure will be strengthened further by upgrading it international standards. A state-of-art security operations center will be built to monitor traffic at these two state data centers and statewide area network and proactively act against potential cyber attacks.